Good morning, everybody. I hope that everyone had a good Christmas and had made good memories with family. And I wanted to come on today to make a video about self-entitlement syndrome. And this was just something that, I felt very heavy in my mind the day before Christmas. And I kind of wanted to sit with it before I discussed it in detail and made the video, because so often with words people will change the meaning of them over time, and actually being entitled is not a bad word. It's the definition of it is what is earned and has been worked for is gained rightfully. But so often when we think of entitled people, we're not really thinking in the definition of the actual word entitled. We're thinking of self-entitled, which is different than being rightfully entitled to receive the honor for which you worked for, that you put the hours in for, right? And so when I was looking at the etymology of self-entitlement, where it intersects with narcissistic personality traits, one of the things that struck me is that people that are self-entitled often see themselves as superior to others, and the long-term damage that brings about in their life is a constant, continual conflict in relationships that often characterized by an inability to maintain relationships. And just, if you were to talk to family members or co-workers or partners, they would, tell you that this person is always unhappy. They are forever, eternally disappointed, that, their view on life is very dark and dank, and they just carry this air of desperation and depression with them, right? And often when you have an energy like that in family, it can be hard and almost impossible of how do you deal with this family member that is like this, that just feels like everybody owes them something because they're alive and they've had this experience happen and they've had that experience happen. And one of the first stages of how people like this operate is manipulating how people see them through their ignorance of what self-entitlement is and how it shows up in a person's life, so that you begin to view their struggle, especially when it's in the family setting, as your struggle. And so your ignorance leads to your suffering, and your suffering leads to you suffocating the reason of your mind from realizing what is taking place. And when I was looking at self-entitlement, understanding that it's a disease of the mind that creates the perception that others are indebted to another for doing little or nothing for them, and where it coincides with narcissism is in exploiting other people's weaknesses and convincing them that they don't need to really see the truth for what it is, because you have this person that's so grandiose in their life that everything must work this one way for them. and they have no concept of, how things should work in reality. And a common factor in self-entitlement, where narcissistic personality traits are also present, is grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. And it is mind-boggling when you think about just the level of intent and purpose that goes into and feeds off of a self-entitlement type of energy at work in someone. They're always going to feel like someone is out to get them. Someone is, threatening to make it to where their unrealistic expectations will never be met, when life is already showing them that, hey, this is unrealistic. You're not taking into account the work that you have to do to get to where you want to be. And then it leads them into this dissatisfied state of being where life sucks and everyone is at war against them, and it's them against the world. And when they, realize that, then they try to fix it, and their fix often, what it will look like, is a projection onto others, or onto their parents or their siblings or past partners. And so if you're in a conversation with them, they will tell you that this didn't work out because this person lied or this person cheated, when the reality was and is that it never would have worked, because someone recognized something was off. And when they recognized that, they were trying to extricate themselves from that relationship, from that friendship, from that partnership, in such a way that, bombs didn't go off and they could leave in peace with their peace intact, right? And, and then what the feeling that is created from that is, oh, I've been cheated by life. I've been cheated by this person because they promised me this and then they took it away. And the truth is that this person may have come in with good intentions, but when they realized just who they were dealing with, the only way to deal with it truthfully and honestly is to cut it off and leave, and to view it as something that is dead, that cannot grow. Because when you're a stable person and you recognize that you're dealing with someone who has such deeply rooted self-entitlement energy at work within themselves, that will not synergize with someone who is grounded and stable. It is only going to actually push you away from them, because it becomes so disgusting and such a distraction to you that you can't see the person anymore. And all you see is this air of arrogance and pride that says, look at me, I'm better than everybody else. And your mind goes, wait a minute, this is not who, I started this partnership with. This is someone totally different. And so you begin to naturally, inherently move yourself away and cut your emotions and cut your energy off from that. And they pick up on it. Most assuredly, they pick up on it. And, their anger in that stage of self-entitlement will, begin to have them accuse you of being immoral, being deceitful, having a dark agenda, being anything other than what you are, because they can't accept the reality that the issue begins and ends with them addressing them, right? And they will continue to go through that cycle by reassuring that sense of, well, I deserve everything I want, even though they're not acknowledging the work that they have to put in to get there. And, there's no real way out of that unless you step apart from it and realize that anything in life worth having requires work of some sort. It requires discipline. It requires skill. And the only way that you develop skill is to continually do what your objective is, to put your heart and your mind and your soul into it, and allow the results that come back to you to show you either this works or it doesn't, or maybe you just need to fine-tune something and keep going, and not have people that are not in that field telling you what to do. You have to develop your own inner compass to navigate that, and you have to be willing to have the strength of mind and strength of determination and will to accept that maybe no one ever gets what you're going for. But if you get it and it's what you want and you're willing to put the work in, then you have to be willing to accept that other people may not receive it. And if they don't, that's okay. If you do, that's even better, because you're the only one that can bring that product to the forefront, to the table, to the market, so to speak. And there's nothing wrong in being focused and determined in your life to overcome these energies of self-entitlement, syndrome that many of your family members, many in the world struggle with, and just focusing on you moving forward. And that was a message that was just heavy on my mind. I hope that everyone had a wonderful Christmas, and if you didn't, I hope that the days ahead for you get better, and that you find whatever it is that you're looking for, that you can find the peace in life and the serenity within to confront and sit with whatever aspect of yourself that you're struggling to overcome, and allow yourself, the time and the space to just heal and come back together stronger than you were before, and propel you into being your own source of motivation rather than looking outside of yourself for motivation. All right, I will see you later, and I hope that everyone has an enjoyable day and you enjoy your life.